welcome to Daft Souls. This week it's me and Joe Screbbles.
Fuck you, Quinns. Where are you?
Where are you? Where are you, Quinns? He's in America for about a week.
Oh, I'm not allowed to say
He's
F you then.
No.
I feel bad saying the F word now that I've
Now
said
you know
it.
Americans are involved.
Yeah,
they can be funny about swearing, but some of them really love it. I've noticed that. It's a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a thing where Americans, I think, because they're swearing over in England, it's just very much a part of the language and a part of the breathing. We don't really think about it. Whereas in America, people feel strongly about it one way or the other. They're really like, yeah, I love swearing, or no, it's not for me.
You're making us sound like Victorian orphan boys.
We are.
It's part of the language,
Part of the
governor.
language, governor. I am up a chimney.
You can't.
Oh, well.
Whoops.
Let's slide down that naughty chimney.
Absolutely.
And do a podcast.
Let's.
So I've been playing a little game on my 3DS recently,
Have you?
and it's called Poké Card Jockey, which in English means Pocket Card Jockey,
Ah.
which is fun.
That's Game Freak, isn't it?
It is Game Freak.
Right, so that popped up on the eShop when I was just looking. I can't remember what I was doing on the eShop. I don't buy anything there. And
Just browse.
I just saw it and was like, oh.
But Nintendo hate you. They hear the bell go as you walk into the shop and they go, oh, it's him again. He just looks.
Oh, he just looks at all the records and
He looks at
leaves.
their demos.
Yeah. But I saw it and I was like, this is weird billing for like a strange half gambling game. And then I saw it mentioned somewhere and I saw it mentioned somewhere else. And then again, I was on Metacritic for a reason I can't remember, and it has amazing scores. And I was like, what's going on?
It's not a gambling game.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like one.
Yeah, it does look like one. You're right. It's a horse racing game controlled by Solitaire, which is a bizarre combination.
Have you ever played Card Crawl
No.
on iOS? Similar concept, but talk about yours first, and then I'll go back to it.
Sure. Well, basically, it's very kind of cartoony and twee, and you play rounds of Solitaire in order to make the horse run well. And there's actually loads more to it than that.
I was going to say,
It's
that
quite
sounds like
complex.
massive downtime.
Yeah. It's actually like quite fast paced and quite complex because you have lots of different factors, and the way they managed to merge the horse racing and the solitaire and have the kind of interplay between the two is actually quite cool. So it has stuff like when you start the race, you have to do a very quick, simple solitaire to just get a card from the base of one of the stacks so you can run quickly and get going, which is difficult, but also like very fast paced, and if you don't do it in a few seconds, then you're kind of at a disadvantage. But then from that point onwards,
Wow, so it's like live.
yeah, it is live. So the horses go, and you have to do a launch. You don't launch a horse, but I can't remember the word, so let's just say you do.
You cannon it.
You launch the horse out of the cage, and then you just see where it lands.
And then it runs after that.
And then it runs.
If it hasn't broken its legs, you need to shoot it in the goddamn head. Damn horse.
That's real horses. Thankfully, there hasn't been any of that in Poké Card Jockey on the 3DS Nintendo. However, what it does do is it has this sort of there's very much a case of it giving you the sense of a course in the fact that where you move your horse around is dependent on how hard the solitaire is. So if you get points for doing well in the solitaire that you then spend to move your horse. So in between sections. So it's
Sounds like a MOBA. What's going on?
No, it's not all live, right? So it'll be like you play a game of solitaire, then you get to move your horse, and then you'll play another game of solitaire.
Okay.
But then where your horse is at the end of the little movement phase is dependent on how hard the solitaire game is, but also dependent on how many bonuses you can get if you nail it.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's really complex. And actually, what's nice is they have this thing of like, if you manage to get like your horse into a great position and you get it in the comfort zone, so it's basically you want it running at the pace and the position where it wants to be, and then you ace a game of solitaire with loads of cards, it means you get like this amazing super unity mode and everything goes mad and you get like extra speed, extra points, everything's great. But then it's this weird thing. I've had a few games where then you do really well and you're just on the inside, so on the corners you don't get affected by losing stamina from having to be too far on the outside of the kind of the race. But then you're just like too tightly in a pack of horses and you can't, when it comes to the final section, you can't get out of that. And you're using your stamina to keep whipping the horse, but you're surrounded by horses, and so you can't win because it's like, so sometimes there's lots of subtle strategy in terms of both thinking about it like a horse racing game, but also thinking about it in terms of trying to put yourself in the best possible position to be acing solitaire games as and when you can.
Wow.
There's a lot to it.
That's really weird.
It is really weird. Like it's things like, if you're in a really great position, then you get a solitaire game with like loads of cards, and then you have to do it within a certain time limit as well. And if you clear them, then so it has this nice balance of making sure you're not missing anything and making sure you're making the best use of all the cards you draw. In terms of with solitaire, it's literally like you draw a 10, and it's like you can either then go Jack or 9, and then you can go like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Yeah.
But you often end up going 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, and then just try and do it really quickly.
Are they like set puzzles?
No.
Right.
No, because that's the thing is they depend, like how many cards you have to get through depends on where you are. So you have these weird things.
I see.
But then it's got this weird thing if you can collect cards on the course, which then they go into your deck of cards that you need to solve, and if you get those cards, then they give you more experience at the end of the race. So it means you have this sort of tactics of being like sometimes getting yourself like into the best position, and then going into super mode, and then running and collecting all the cards, and then trying to leave your horse in a bad position on the course. So you only have to like do solitaire with about 12 cards. So you can be like, this is easy, and you'll get all the bonuses.
This is exactly as intelligible as watching real life horse racing to me.
Mad, honestly. It's really weird. And it gets weirder because
the horses have a fight.
Yeah, no, I don't understand the format of the game. And this is kind of what excites me. Like, how it's really nice when you're playing a game and you go, okay, well, this is really obvious. This is like, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. And it's almost like the plot signposting is so obvious that you know where you're going to be in like 5 hours, 10 hours at the end of the game. In this, I've got no idea what the hell is going on. Because what happens is you choose a horse, and then, well, to begin with, it just gives you a horse, and then the game's quite easy, and you just win all the races. And then it's like, oh, well, that horse is gone now. Now you have to choose one of these bad horses. And you're like, oh, okay.
Well, like the start of a Metroid game where you have all the abilities and then it takes them away.
The horse loses all the abilities.
Nintendo are the fucking best people. I know this is Game Freak, but they're associated. But oh my god, I love those people. So
yeah, and I kind of as well. There wasn't much to the game, and I was like, oh, this is all right, but there's not. It's quite easy. Yeah. And then suddenly you've got a horse that isn't as good, and suddenly the solitaire is harder, and suddenly all of the upgrades you can buy between races like are expensive. So they're not just things you always buy all of them. It's like you have to maybe choose and be like, it's quite expensive, but maybe I can win this race with that. Wow. And suddenly it got really hard, but then again I started to master bits of it. But then lots of races I was just like, I'm doing quite well. And what's nice is at the end of the race, if you've messed something up, this little amazing tutorial horse pops up and talks to you. And he is brilliant. Like,
what's he called?
I can't remember. I don't think he's got a name. But he is amazing. He's amazing. There's one point where he's like, some of the dialogue for him is brilliant. He's like, oh, you've activated this mode. This mode is just great. Your horse runs faster. It's happier. You get more power from giddy up stuff. And it's like, and it says
giddy up stuff.
Yeah. And it says like, oh, and the music changes. I don't know if you're playing with the music switched on, but if you are and you've not heard this song, maybe turn the speakers on.
That's fantastic.
Because it does different music. And I think the music is pretty cool. But anyway, that's just me.
Oh,
and it's just like
third wall breaking for portable game players.
Yeah. Amazing.
Third wall? Fourth wall?
Fourth wall, yeah.
Third wall's easy. That's always broken.
Yeah, otherwise you can't see the game.
Broke that years ago, mate.
It's just lovely of being like, and up until that point I wasn't really listening with the audio, and I was like, it was like, oh, you should listen to this music, it's pretty cool.
Is this one of those Game Freak games where they make them as part of like an internal like game jam system?
I've got no idea.
Because that's like Harmonite and is it Tembo the Badass Elephant, which wasn't very good. Like both those games were made because people had pitched them internally.
Yeah.
As like side projects.
I don't know.
And Game Freak just go, yeah.
I don't know why, but I think that maybe Pocket Jockey is a series already and this is just a spin-off of that. But I don't know. But I mean, what has been really just confusing me is the fact that you go, okay, I was just getting my head around this and being like, okay, you collect cards, and then if you win those cards in the solitaire game, then your horse levels up. You also want to try and win the races so you can like get more money and spend it on stuff. But then the weirdest thing is that you then find out that the horse you have can only actually get better when it's 2 years old or 3 years old, and they'll start at 2 years old. So it means you play like 2 seasons, which takes not that long, about an hour and a half. maybe. And then it's like the horse is matured. And then you can
So it's Football Manager as well.
Yeah, you can keep racing that horse then, but it can never get any better than it is. Which is like, but then I can't win these races because all the other horses are better. And so then you go and get a new horse, but then a new trainer turns up and is like, oh, do you want to race my horse? It's like got some interesting stats or something, or some interesting things. And I'm just like, where the fuck is this game going? I've probably played it for about 6 hours, and I genuinely don't even really understand what the format of the game is, because it's like you don't transfer the money. It's not like you get to keep the money with the new horse. It's like you literally start a new game with a new horse, but then there is some progression. But then I'm like, where is this progression going? I mean, and I don't know.
Would you be upset if it went nowhere?
I don't think so, but I suspect it might be going somewhere.
Yeah.
But no, it's quite enjoyable to play a light puzzle game, which is basically like, you kind of accept that that's the idea, that you're trying to win races, but also trying to maximize your ability to collect these cards on the course, which makes you do stupid things like not stay in the best position for racing. You're like, I'm going to run over there and try and grab these cards. It is fun, just this idea of getting a new horse and then spending like an hour trying to be like, how good can I make this horse? Can I win the big G1 Derby race? No. So I wouldn't be mad if it didn't go anywhere. But it's just refreshing the fact that my whole experience of playing it in about 6 hours is just constantly me not really knowing what's going on or what it's doing, which, as I've talked about in the past, is always for me a really refreshing like state to be in when playing a game, because I find that often they're just so easily signposted that I'm like, I get what this experience is and I know where it's going, and then that sometimes just leads to an immediate sense of fatigue where I'm just quite enjoying the fact that I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, where is this? And maybe it isn't going anywhere. It's a £6 game, so it might just be that it's like, hey, keep starting again with different horses. But I get the sense there is some sort of...
I kind of like the idea of a game that gives you a very small progression loop and then just... or a very small progression sequence and then just goes back to the start. Like, you don't deserve to be the best for this long. Yeah. And, like, just keeps funneling you.
Well, exactly.
Like, I think that's quite nice.
And I think that I don't exactly understand how it triggers like new horse owners to come and say, hey, ride my horse.
Yeah.
But I get the impression that is the game, really, is that like you're never really in a good position enough to win the best cups.
Yeah.
But then eventually you'll get a horse. But I think the idea is the story of you as a jockey. So it's kind of hard to say goodbye to these horses, but you have to just be like, okay, I'm done with that horse now, new horse. And the idea is that eventually you get good enough that better people give you horses, and then eventually you will be the best.
Did you ever play New Star Soccer?
No.
It's the iOS game that was sort of kind of like Football Manager, but you control highlights from the match, and if you get them right, then you look really good, which is basically just dragging, like, making a good pass or shooting for the goal.
Huh.
And that would increase your experience. And you were like a shitty player playing for a shitty team. And then as you play, you do better and better, and you buy like energy drinks and houses that make you look like a big shot player, and you get better and better clubs. And it's the same kind of thing where you get really attached to the club you're playing for, like for 2 seasons. And then someone comes in with a transfer request and you're like, well, I'm never going to win with this team, even though I'm the best player in it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move to that team. And then you feel really bad once you move to that team, because you're like, well, firstly, I'm shit against these AI players who are much quicker and I don't have the stats to keep up with them. Yeah. So I have to get better. And I miss my old team because I was the best in it. And it's that weird, like, midpoint of being like the coolest kid in class at one school and going to the better school and being like a shithead.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. And yeah, it has that same feel to it.
Yeah. Well, this is like the horses have inherent stats, but then they level up, like, if you get enough of these cards and you do well. But you do get more of a sense of, like, some of the horses you kind of just think, all right, this horse was just tricky to begin with. It didn't have great stats. It had some weird stuff that I couldn't really make use of. I couldn't work out how to do. But you still get the sense that when it comes to the end of the season and the kindly old man who tells you how you're doing says, well, you didn't win. Never mind. Don't worry about it. Like, you kind of feel like you messed it up in a way. And it does kind of simulate that kind of idea of like a little mini career for the horse. It's quite sad.
Yeah.
But it's this idea of being like...
Because you know that horse is dead.
This horse has a run at it. I haven't. There is a button that says retire. I'm just terrified it's going to turn him into glue.
No.
So I'm just leaving that.
What's that horse in Animal Farm? That's what you're doing.
Oh, God.
Oh!
But, yeah, it's this nice idea. It's like, I just get the impression that it's like when it gets to the final few cups and it's like, this race is going to be hard. Because it has that thing of, yes, they have higher stats than you, but if you play really well and you've also done the best you can to get the horse in the best position, then you might have a chance. But when I mess it up, I'm always like... but it's the cathartic thing to just be like, okay, let's get a new horse, start again, try and get yourself in the best position. But at the same time, it does feel like I ended one little horse campaign, let's call it, and I'd done a really bad job for the whole thing. And it was like, it was actually like, rather than progressing each time, it was a hard horse. It was like, it had worse stats than the one before. And I was just like, oh man, like I did really badly. I didn't get it. I was trying to work out how to race it well, couldn't do it. Messed it up, and it made me sad. But it is lovely in the fact that, and this does seem to be the kind of sense of progression, that when the little horse tutorial dude who pops up after a race after you lose, he tells you why you've lost, and he says like, oh, you messed up the start this time, you've got to like be quiet on that, or like, oh, you ran out of energy, means these are the ways you can do a better job of that.
That sounds incredibly intelligent.
It's really nice. I mean, there aren't that many factors, but it can just be like, yeah, you kind of ran out of stamina, maybe you used this too much, or maybe you didn't run out of that, and it basically just tries to give you pointers. But what's lovely is, I had a point at which I was halfway through this campaign with this horse I was struggling with, and I hadn't done a good job of leveling it up. I'd been missing the cards. I'd been losing races. I was doing pretty badly. But then I had one game where I was just really on point, and I just got everything, and I was just playing solitaire really well, basically. I was just like bam, 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 bam. It was just a combination of lucky cards and me also being just better.
Yeah.
And I did everything almost perfect. And then when it came to the final section, because the final thing I really like about this game is the fact that it actually manages to give you all this solitaire stuff, but then still allow you to enjoy the sensation of a horse race. Because right at the very end, after you've done all of the little solitaire games, depends how many there are, depending on the length of the course, you have the final stretch. And for the final stretch, you get to spend the stamina that you've managed to maintain just by playing well at solitaire, and you can spend each block of little card of stamina to make the horse, like to whip the horse and make it run faster. And if you collect a boost card, you can spend that. But it basically, you see all the horses running, and it also has the nice element of, rather than just being like, oh, wicked, I'll spend all of my stamina to run really fast, for every stamina card you save at the end, you get more experience. So it actually encourages you to, like, if you think you're going to win, to conserve them. And it means you'll tap it and you'll go a bit faster, and you'll kind of try and get a sense of whether or not that's going to be enough to kind of keep the momentum. And if the horse slows down, so it means you actually, again, you play the solitaire, but then at the end you get to enjoy that kind of like the thrill of it
just
being
really
like,
whipping a horse, just fucking slamming it, slides until it bleeds.
They're such cute cartoon horses, and they all like kind of go all like fiery and explosion-y in Dragon Ball Z style when they're running at the end, and it's hilarious. But you get to enjoy that kind of neck and neck thing of being like, am I going to make it? But I had a race where I'd done perfectly. I had all these cards, and then I was just spending my stamina, and the horse just wasn't fast enough. And it was like, I literally played perfectly, and then I'd spent all these things, and I just still lost. I came out 8th, and it was like, oh man. Like,
and I kicked that horse's legs off.
And it was wonderful that the tutorial horse popped up and just went, you know what, like, you played really well. Like, you did everything perfectly. Wow. You did a really good job. It's just the other horses are just stronger, and you'll get better horses. Like, and it was this thing of being like, he was like, but you know, you can feel proud of how well you played. And it's like, man, like, it's kind of nice that, like, to have a game do that, of not just being like, hey, you played perfectly, therefore you're the best. To say you played perfectly, it wasn't enough. But, like, to recognise that and be like, you didn't win, but you did a really good job there.
You're the Roberto Martinez's Wigan of sports card jockey.
It's really realistic though, right? Because most games it's like...
niche football reference.
I didn't get it, but
it's good. It's very good reference.
I'm sure it was.
Probably.
But I found that quite
it's really nice. Do you remember, did you ever hear about that game, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball?
No.
That was a Nintendo game as well, which was, they never released it over here because they think we don't understand baseball. Because it's ununderstandable and it's stupid that anyone would like it.
It does go on for fucking ages.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I watched a game once in a bar in New York, and then after about 2 hours, I was like, is that still the same game? And they're like, yeah, it's on till 2 in the morning. And I'm like, are you fucking joking?
I went to one in Canada once, I watched men run. And I just ate hot dogs. That was my whole night.
It's exactly the same as cricket. It's just in cricket, like, they know that the first few hours nothing really happens. But in America, right from the start, they're like, this is exciting.
Also in cricket, you get fucked up.
Yeah.
That's what you're meant to do. So, yeah, it makes no sense. Anyway.
It's because they're not allowed to drink in the arena, is it? So that's why they do the tailgating.
Oh, wait, no, is that American football?
Well, I think it's American sports in general. Like, drinking in arenas is a bit of a funny one, I think. I might be wrong.
We're the best guys to comment on this.
We're the best. Like, in England, it's great because you just go and nurse pints throughout the day and gradually get trashed as the cricket progresses. Where I get the impression with American sports, people tend to go and get smashed in the back of their car, having a barbecue at the back of their car, which is the most unbelievably grim thing to do in a car park ever, I just have to say. I know it's an American cultural thing, but Jesus, guys, come on.
I think it looks quite nice.
Getting smashed in a car park?
Yeah,
I've done it, mate. When I was a kid. Well, I don't know. I just think it's a bit like...
We could do that right now, and I bet we'd have a great time.
We would.
Let's buy a car.
That's because we're British, and British people thrive on being able to make fun out of alcohol.
There's been a lot of British talk in this so far. Let's keep going. Anyway, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, which was Nintendo's baseball game, but it was their first free-to-play game. And
how long ago was this then?
It was like 2 years ago, I think. And it was a dog called Rusty, and dogs can't play baseball. Stupid. No. You would play mini games, baseball related mini games, and then he would barter with you for real money to buy more elements of the game.
I am raising both my eyebrows here.
And the more it was something like the better you did, the less money it would cost to buy bits of the game.
I'm not going to barter with a dog.
It's kind of cool, though, right? Like, the idea that a company goes, here's how much this costs,
but
tell us it's worth less. Like, proper market haggling. Like, car boot sale stuff for a 3DS game with a baseball dog. And I really like that Nintendo appear to be going, sports. Lots of people hate sports. How do we make them more interesting by doing the weirdest possible shit with this sport?
Let's have them haggle with a dog.
Card horses, where all the jockeys are on the back of the horses laying out full games of solitaire, and a dog that acts like it's a goddamn yard sale to play your game. It's really weird.
It is. I mean, I think the Game Freak thing is a thing as well. I think that it's hard to remember now because Pokemon games have been exactly the same for 20 years and there have been hundreds of them. Literally hundreds. It's hard to remember that when you play the first Pokemon game, it was exciting in that exact same way of going, what's the structure of this? Like, what's going on? Where are we going? Like, what are we doing?
Like, that, I mean, I know that's also an incredibly staged storyline.
Yeah.
But the idea that all RPGs were, I am the best warrior in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas Pokemon started, I'm a kid who's just got a hobby. Like, that's weird as shit. Like, who does that? And obviously it builds to the crescendo of, I'm the best hobbyist in the world. But still, like, for most of that game, you're just going, yeah, that is a cool-looking dog. I'm going to throw a ball at it for ages.
And along the path, like, just having this empty Pokedex with all these blank spaces in it. Yeah. Like, now it's, like, again, hard to remember that, like, that was, like, amazing.
Intoxicating.
It was, like, the fact that it was, like, you just didn't know what all the gaps were.
Yeah.
And it started to become this actual degree of, like, filling the gaps of being like, hang on a minute. Like, I still remember the first time when I must have been about 10, no, older than that. Must have been about 14, 15, I guess, when it came out. I still remember looking at the gap next to Magikarp and being like, because it was the thing, if you'd started to work out by that point that not all Pokemon actually evolved.
Yeah.
Like, some of them were just like, this is what it is, and that's it. And you'd be like, okay,
fucking far-fetched.
It was kind of disappointing. And sometimes you realise this after you've been leveling it up for a while, and you looked in the Pokedex and you realise there was something else next to it, and you're like, oh, well, if there's something else next to it, it means it doesn't evolve. You kind of worked out the language of the way the system worked. But seeing that there was this mysterious grey gap next to Magikarp, I was like, I wonder. And I had it on like an import version from Canada, so I didn't have like anyone to talk to or anything. And I just remember like going with my gut on it and leveling up this Magikarp in a painstaking way.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't have anyone to help me with
splash.
Like, splashing out. Like, get him the fuck in the back of the van, and then we'll bring him his experience sandwich after we're finished.
Tailgate that sandwich at him.
Yeah. Keep on drinking, Magikarp. It's going to be a long time in the Pokemon Stadium. And yeah, like just having that kind of not understanding the structure and trying to second guess what it was doing and where it was going and the ideas. was really exciting, and it was like nothing I'd ever played. And it's hard to remember that for something as well established as Pokemon. The idea that at some point it was genuinely fresh and exciting and like full of unknowns, whereas now it's like people buy Pokemon games for the complete opposite of that now. They buy it for comfort, really.
Yeah. I've never really asked someone who was an adult at the time what they thought of the first Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to know about that.
I remember being weirdly disappointed when the cartoons started landing in the UK, and it was very much aimed at children. And I was like 15, 16 at the time, and I loved that game.
Yeah.
But in my head, I think because it was a great game, because I was 15, 16, and obviously when you're in the age of 16 to 19, 20, you're obsessed with trying to be an adult, and then you realise that it's the most fruitless thing you can possibly ever try and aspire to in life. It was, that kind of like, it's for kids. It's supposed to be for kids, and I love it. But now, obviously, I can just go, who gives a fuck? But
Brock's eyes are funny.
Brock's eyes.
What's going? Open them up, mate. Come on.
It's just Captain Squints, isn't he?
He's a nerd.
Anyway, you're going to talk about another solitaire game, weren't you?
Oh yeah, Card Crawl on iOS. It's not technically a solitaire game, but it's a dungeon crawler played through the means of traditional cards, which is really weird. So you're playing against a deck of cards that are dealt out to you, and different values have different attributes attached to them. So some are monster cards. So like the biggest monster in the game is a 10, and so it can be a 10 of whatever. And it's like a soul eater, and it's just some shitty monster. But then other cards are like you can get a 7, which is a sword. There's also a 7 that's a goblin, so it doesn't make sense as a deck of cards. But anyway, so you can get you get swords and shields, and then items and monsters of different values of cards, and you sort of play them against each other. And essentially it works out like a normal game, but there's something really comforting about it being cards that you recognise, because it eases you into the game immediately. You go, oh, okay, so that's worth that. This is how everything plays off each other, and you just get going. And it becomes like this weird, strange, like high score challenge game where the only thing you're aiming for at the end of the deck, once you realise how to beat it, which is always run a guy into a shield first, because that minimises the amount of damage done to you. You start with a small amount of health. And there are potion cards which can heal it up. But you've only ever got it's really hard to explain. I apologise.
No, I know what you mean. It's a difficult. Well, I had the same thing when I was trying to explain Pocket Card Jockey. It's impossible not to start going down the almost wormholes of detail and complexity that you've worked out.
Essentially, there are cards that work for you. There are cards that work for the enemy. You can only hold so many cards, and the enemy only has so many cards in a hand at any one time. And you're essentially wiping those cards out to move on to the next round, and you get through 50-odd cards. The point being that at the end of this, it goes, how much gold did you make during that? And the only way you make gold is either collecting coin cards or selling cards that you can sell, like shields and swords, things that help
Good
you
stuff.
during the game without using it. And so you just sit there and go, well, okay, so I know that there are definitely 3 more 10 monsters in this deck, and this 7 sword is one of the only ones left. Can I afford to sell this right now and deal with this? And it throws in loads of variables.
So it becomes that kind of poker card counting almost.
Exactly. So it brings card elements into it where you're second-guessing probability half the time.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It just has this, second to second, once you're 10 games in, you know exactly how everything works.
Do you always use the full deck, or is it
yes.
Okay.
You always use the full deck.
This is the shut up and sit down side of me coming out now, being exactly understand the mechanic of being is it a third or fourth? Yeah.
So you always use the same deck every single time. The only variable being that as you play, you unlock ability cards. There's only ever 4, and they can vary. So some of them can boost the strength of cards. Some of them can get rid of cards in favour of other cards, and some of them are even more complex, you can wipe out the entire set of cards facing you, which might be impossible to beat, but it takes you down to 1 health, which means literally any card can kill you after that.
Right.
And so it keeps doing this stuff, and the more you unlock, the bigger the chance, but essentially you don't know what you're going to get in your next game.
Gotcha.
And it's just it's just really fun.
That sounds great.
And
I actually, this is reminding me of a game that I've had recommended to me so many times, and I played it, and I expected a lot from it, and I thought it was pretty rubbish, if I'm honest, and that was a Hand of Fate.
I liked Hand of Fate.
Which I kind of like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I came to it late, and we've had lots of like games which have used these sort of mechanics since, but maybe it's that I'm like really familiar with card games now. But it just felt like this strange like combination of two things that didn't really gel together, of being like this kind of like slightly rubbish Fable style combat, which was fine.
Yeah.
But in terms of being a challenge, wasn't really very good. And it was fine. I mean, it felt exactly like Fable's combat in many ways, which is fine.
I thought it felt like most like Batman myself, but
really?
like because it had the X and Y counter thing, attacking counter.
Yeah, you're right. It did, but it still had that. It didn't feel like it had the sharp precision.
No, it absolutely didn't.
It had
that
the
was
kind
my
of
main
fuzziness, and in something like Fable, when like you're the hero,
yeah,
like, it doesn't matter if it's fuzzy because your job is to smash stuff. But
yeah,
in something like this, where literally like the idea is that these 3D combat sections are a reflection of how well you're doing in the card game.
Yeah.
To then have something fuzzy, which you could frankly, just by being better at action games, just mean it was like I was like, where's the focus here? Because it meant that you had this sort of this combat which didn't feel precise enough, and then you had this card game which felt just way too luck based and way too kind of like
absolutely did,
and didn't really even give you a sense of like what was good or bad or what was, I don't know, it just seemed to be doing lots of stuff where the idea was the more you play it, then you get more of a sense of what's going on and unlock more stuff.
I don't mind that. What I mind is a card game that doesn't give you a sense of, okay, I've played this enough to understand exactly what could happen.
Yes.
I just don't know what will happen. And I find that really exciting. Whereas, I agree, Hand of Fate had a sense of, I could just chuck anything at you. Like, you have no control really over what it's going to do to you.
Yeah, that's it. It didn't feel like kind of FTL where it's like you kind of make a choice and you have a sense of whether or not something good or bad is going to happen to you. It was just like stuff was just happening, and then often it would end up being resolved finally in combat, which was kind of a system which you just felt very easy to manipulate. It was strange. It was like the first time it kind of went boom, 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 and went to the combat, and I was like, oh, it's actually got 3D combat.
Yeah.
I was quite almost like going from something as basic as this sort of, simple card game to this was almost intoxicating in terms of being like, oh, I didn't even know this game had that.
Yeah.
But then that kind of veneer quickly slid, and it was strange. It's something which we deal with a lot in the world of board games and card games, which ups it down a bit, being like, it seemed that the main appeal of the game was in just constantly kind of giving you more stuff. It's like, you kind of, I found myself being like, I'm not too sure about the core design of this. And it's like, wait, look, I've got some more cards for you. I've got some new stuff.
I am kind of fine with that. Like, I basically came out of Hand of Fate enjoying it because it gave me lots of stuff. And I was like, I saw that. There's a bit of this. Like, I don't mind a smorgasbord. Like, I don't think it was a perfect game by any means. I think it's like a 7 out of 10 type thing.
It does a couple of things. Like that's exactly it. I think it's because I'd heard so many people going, "Oh, you'll love it," and maybe it's that thing of people being like, "You'll love it because it's got cards in it." And that's kind of maybe just sort of a naive way of looking at it. But it wasn't bad. It was just I heard a lot of great things about it. I was expecting great things, and then I was like, this feels kind of weak. It wasn't a terribly good card game. It definitely wasn't a good combat game. And then even the way it tried to tie these decks together with a narrative of stories, the idea, it didn't do a very good job of that either.
I tell you what I'm glad about is that enough people liked it that they are making a sequel.
Yeah, no, I'd be really excited to see. Cool. That's the thing is, I was just sort of surprised. It's like, again, we don't tend to really talk that much on Cool Ghosts about stuff that we don't really like that much, but obviously it's sometimes slight inconvenience because it means you spend a lot of time investigating games that you then never talk about.
Yeah.
And this is because I know so many people keep mentioning it to me and being like, Hand of Fate, so I thought I'd just let people know at least that I have checked it out.
It was shit and you're all bastards.
It wasn't for me. It was fine. It just didn't... it didn't like spark off anything in me. The one thing I loved actually is the tokens. I thought that the way, that sense of like... the way that I thought the cards again, like okay, but the physicality of those little metal tokens that he places in the tray, really, really nice.
Yeah, that was.
And it's funny. I mean, I've been working on it for a little while. I say working on it in my head until it's constructed in my head. I won't even start editing it because that's the way I work. But I've been trying to think of put together a video about like kind of the way that often video games use board game elements and how they do it well and how they don't and stuff. And that's the one thing from that is the way it kind of handles tokens as being physical things. It's like, oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, it feels really good.
I just wish they'd made a tighter game. But hey,
maybe they will.
I really hope they do.
That would be cool as hell.
I really hope they do.
Speaking of stuff that Well, I can't remember if you didn't like it or if it was just Quinn's, but Superhot, which we talked about last time I was on.
We were both kind of just a bit cold on it. It's rare that me and Quinn's actually agree on stuff, to be honest. But I just felt slightly cold towards it.
So I finished that game. I think it's great.
Sure.
Screw you guys. At the end of it, I found out, I went looking around, because whenever I finish a game, especially ones with like weird, ambiguous storylines, I like to go and look for like, what do people think about this? So I don't have to form my own opinions. And I went and looked and was like, no one's opinions are cool. And then I realised that there was this element of the game where apart from a few like story levels, every level has a secret terminal in it that gives you a little bit more story. As it turns out, the story it gives you is shit. But what I really like is that every terminal is hidden in incredibly obscure locations and usually take you doing often lateral thinking, sometimes shitty, can I jump through this wall thinking. But it totally changed.
You mean like jump through a wall? You mean just trying to jump through
like
walls?
no clip crap.
What, until you just try and jump into walls until you just go through it?
Sometimes.
Wow.
But let me explain, because I think this is actually great. Most of what it does is goes, here's a level in which the initial challenge is, how do I kill everyone without dying? And then what it does is goes, if you want to find the secret in this, you have to not only not die, but be able to search every corner of this level for clues as to where this secret might be. And it completely changes how you look at everything around you. So in one level, there's a bit where there's like, for no real reason, there's a car next to a dumpster, next to a sort of air conditioning vent. And when you're playing, you might just be going, shoot, shoot, shoot. You never see it. And when your recaster's going, I'm looking for a thing, you suddenly look at them and go, what? They're kind of like stairs. And so you jump up them, and then you get onto a roof you've never been on. And you go, well, where can I get from here? And then there's like a telephone line, and you can jump onto the telephone line and walk across it, and it takes you behind a wall you've never seen before, and there's a secret terminal.
I guess you have to do this whilst also running away from enemies.
Exactly. So you have to clear enough enemies, but keep one alive so that you don't end the level by killing everyone.
Gotcha.
And
it's quite Braid-like then, I suppose.
A little bit, yeah.
It's a shame that the payoff is apparently not good.
The story sucks,
Whereas
but
the payoff in Braid was like, well, still just confusing as fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just went and Googled it and it was like something about the atom bomb?
Yeah, fuck knows. But then for a game that I enjoyed to then go, by the way, you can play a sort of second game afterwards. And there's really cool stuff. Like, there's one bit which a load of people hate on the internet, but I thought was kind of great. It starts with the clip through walls thing that is shitty. Mm-hmm. Essentially, there's this one level that's just a long corridor. You probably played it. Yeah. And these two guys are shooting you at the end of it. So you have to get all the way down to the end of this corridor. Mm-hmm. You kill one of them.
That's really early, yeah.
Yeah. You kill one of them. And then what you have to do with the other one is throw something at him so he drops his gun. Then quickly pick up his gun, throw it at him again, so that gun breaks, and he has no guns available. And all he can do is punch you. But you can punch him and stun him. So essentially you have to run up to him, throw a gun at him, throw another gun at him, punch him in the face, then jump out of a window. And the only thing accessible next to this window is like a big other building. And I was kind of in the mind space of like, what am I looking for? And I saw this building, I was like, maybe I can jump into that. And then I flew through this wall. And I ended up on this platform, and the terminal's at the end of this platform. For some reason, this platform's covered in shoes, which are marked as things I can pick up and throw. I'm like, what's this weird? And I took one step forward and fell through the floor. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I did it again, and the next time I took a different route and fell through the floor again. I was like,
you have to use the shoes to mark a path.
And then I came back and I was like, okay. So I picked up one of the shoes and threw it at the floor, and it like blew up on a certain tile. And I was like, this is Indiana Jones. So I like had to jump onto that bit, pick up another shoe, throw it another bit. If it exploded, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I just had to pick a path down this like weird clip through platform.
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, who did this? This is a tiny team making a Kickstarter game. And like they've made this second area in all of these levels. I think that's brilliant. I really respect that. I like, and you know, 10% of people are going to be as bored as I was to go and look for this stuff.
Quite a weekend, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was like, this is wicked. Well done. Like, I just thought that was really nice.
No, that is cool. Like, that level of attention for just mad details.
One of them, right, you jump on a sort of floating bus in this weird level that's just there, and you might happen to see underneath the level are a couple of palm trees hanging upside down from the level where you'd never otherwise see them. And you make like this death-defying leap onto the underside of a floating upside-down palm tree. And then there's another one and a telephone booth. And you have to jump to the other one and then jump to the telephone booth, smash the window as you're jumping, land in it, and then there's a terminal inside it. And I was like, this is fucking mad. Like, just this whole thing is turning an action game into a platforming game with exploration elements. And
the idea of hiding things within the geometry, which is actually like purposefully. I mean, that is quite smart in terms of like it not being like this is hidden in the world as a location, but actually like this is hidden within the world with the known assumption that this is a 3D like world. It's not real. Like that's what I like. Well, one of the many things I liked about the beginner's guide was the fact that it was like this idea of being like you're not inhabiting physical spaces, you are inhabiting digital spaces.
Yeah, and we can do anything we want.
We know that, and then it means there are no rules. Yeah, we can literally just have you flowing through walls and stuff or looking through walls because we can. Yeah, like it's. And that's quite a fun, I don't know. It's weird. I kind of wish I liked it more, really, because I just bounced off it in a way. I was like, felt a bit too single note, and also I just found myself increasingly less interested in games that involve sort of. I don't know. I really don't even know how to explain why I just bounced off.
I think that's totally fair. I just like. It seemed like a fun thing to flag up because I just think so few people will see it, and I think it's actually kind of a really nice little bit of extra design thinking where you're like, no one does that anymore.
Absolutely. I didn't know about that point, and I think anyone who's a lot of people probably finished it and didn't know that either. Yeah. So fair enough.
It's cool as hell.
It's something I've actually just started playing again because it came last week. It would have come out on PlayStation 4 and Vita crossplay. Is SteamWorld Heist, which we talked about. Oh God! Again, we talked about that a lot when we were first playing it.
They've added stuff to it, right?
They have. There's some. Well, I've just been playing the kind of new version, and it's all HD and nice. And actually, I've got to say, like, it is nice. Like, often like with HD, I was a bit of a cynic, but obviously it was originally a 3DS game. Now it's on proper high definition consoles. You can see the level of detail
I
now.
Interviewed, because I've followed those guys since SteamWorld Dig. Mm-hmm. I've interviewed their CEO a load of times. Brian, he's one of the weirdest man in the world. He's great. He told me that the first time he played SteamWorld Dig in HD, he was like, sorry, who added this element like to this character? He had like a sort of glowing core. He was like, this looks really nice. Who did that? And he was like, and their art guy was just like, oh, it's always been in there.
It's just couldn't see it.
We made it in HD and then shrunk it down for 3DS.
Yes.
You're like, that's incredible.
And I get the exact same sense that it is like, it's weird. Like it's like the guy who runs your ship, Rusty, I think he's called, like.
The little hanging down.
Yeah, hanging pilot. I'm like, he's got a nose. It was like, I just couldn't see that.
I've never seen his nose before.
It was a beautifully characterful game on 3DS, but when you can see all of it, it's like, wow, like this is pretty and full of detail, and also feels like they've kind of jazzed up a couple of things, like in terms of like, feels like it might be my imagination, but it feels like the animation's slightly. It's really hard. I think it's more with the physicsy things. Yeah. It feels like there's more bits to the robots.
The hats fly off nicer.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like it feels like I've had a couple of bits where I'm like watched like all the robot bits slide down a hill and then collapse into a pile, and I'm like, there was definitely stuff like that on the 3DS, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot less permanent. It would fade away, and obviously, it's a less powerful system. But no, I mean, it's just a fantastic game. I'm probably this week working on a video about it, just because it's probably going to be a really short video, because it's one of those things of being like, hey, I've played this game tons, just play it. It's awesome. Like, because I finished it, and then I just started playing it again on my 3DS. Yeah. And I just started playing it on the hardest difficulty, trying to finish it again, and I got like halfway through again, and it's like now it's out again, and I'm playing it again. And there's new stuff. There's a DLC, which I think it's called The Outsider, which adds a bunch of stuff. I don't think there's any point to add it before you've played the main game, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think it's more like if you, like me, you've played the main game and then you're like, I want to play this again. Yeah. Because it is a linear story, but it's slightly randomized. So it's like every mission in the game has key elements that have to be there, but then if you keep failing and starting again, then
it will always change. It will always be different. Challenge, yeah.
And sometimes it's just like you play a mission, and you're like, oh man, that was way too hard. And the next time you walk into a room and they're all standing next to explosive barrels, and you're like, I win this time.
Dumb robots.
But yeah, just to reiterate that is because I know a lot of people don't have a 3DS and miss out on stuff, but it's a damn fine game.
God damn, it's good.
It's really good. It's kind of when they said this week, oh, here's a review code. It's out. I'm like, brilliant. Like, it's a shoe-in for me making a video and just being like, buy this game. You won't be disappointed. Yeah. It's just fucking awesome.
It's XCOM for people who are easily stressed.
Yeah,
perfect for me.
Yeah, it is. It's XCOM minus a lot of the stress and a lot of the kind of. I like the fuzziness of it. I was thinking today, I like the fact that like it's okay for people to get roughed up in missions.
Yes,
just, if they get killed, then you get less of a good rating. But that's all that matters.
Well, exactly. It's got that mobile game feedback of just like you could do that better. But keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And it being like, you can get better, but keep going. Maybe come back and get 3 stars later.
Exactly.
It's it. It's basically, it's like if XCOM became a kind of iOS game, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Like not in terms of being like, hey, you could get more stars or have another go if you gave us some more money.
Yeah,
it's kind of that early iOS like design of space of it just being like, having the joy of discovering things and opening boxes and optimizing stuff, but without any of the seedy stuff that comes in. It feels addictive, but not in a way that's manipulative and not in a way that you resent. You're just having a wicked time. When I started playing it, it just made time blow by over Christmas. Me and my brother were both playing it on our 3DSs, addicted, having a wonderful time, but never did it feel like, because it has an end. It's a finite thing.
And it helps that it looks cool as hell.
It's so cool.
Bullets ricocheting and hats flying off and things exploding and like it gets the spectacle of that stuff right and puts it in a portable. It's no longer portable, but like it's that it gets it in that.
Well, it's crossplay. It's a crossplay. So if you get it on PS4, it's on PS Vita as well. So if you have a Vita rather than 3DS, then now's a great time to pick it up as well. But I can't recommend it enough. It's so really good. Just a quality thing. And I think we'll wrap up this week. I think we might do one quick question.
All right.
And then we'll wrap up because I'm hungry.
I'm a hungry boy.
So here's a quick question from Joe. Sorry, we're only doing one question, chaps. I really do need to eat some food. Joe asks, he says, I'm 33 years old and I've never played a Pokemon game. Topical. Is it worthwhile for me to start now? I.e., does the series hold up without the nostalgia factor? If so, where's the best place to start? 3DS.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Best Pokemon games redone so that they don't look like shit anymore.
Is that, when did they come out? Are they quite recent?
That was relatively recent. I think they were DS as opposed to 3DS, but obviously it will still work and it will probably be cheap. So it doesn't have like the best Pokemon, because everyone knows the best Pokemon were in the first 2 games. But Heart Gold, Soul Silver was the first time they realised that the world was as important to the game. So, I mean, like Lavender Town was cool and shit, but like everywhere had a bit more character, like places it felt like more of a journey through Johto, as it was called. And it just like, it had a real sort of, it just had a push, a drive, like there was a bit more story, there was a bit more nuance to how you captured things, but it didn't get out of hand and the designs weren't rubbish as they have been in a few games.
Sure.
And it also has the greatest video game endgame of all time. Do you remember what happens at the end of Heart Gold or at the end of Gold and Silver?
I don't know. I can't remember.
You finish it, and then it gives you the entire world of the first 2 games. You go back to Kanto from Blue and Red, and you can go everywhere from those games, and there is new storyline, and even without nostalgia, you are going to a full game again with entirely different Pokemon.
That's just bizarre.
It's genuine. It's unbelievable. And this might be a pot. It's not apocryphal. It's definitely based in truth, but I might be forgetting the facts. But apparently that was the late president Satoru Iwata said, we can fit that in, and worked by himself to fit the original games into Gold and Silver.
Me. I've heard lots of stories on that. He was just an amazing coder.
Yeah, incredible.
Like, we can do that.
Yeah, he was just like, I'll get that in. Just work by himself.
I remember I played Red, from Red and Blue, and I think I might have played Sapphire and Ruby.
Oh, so you skipped a gen.
I may have skipped one, yeah. I think because I'd done so much of it, I was like, I can't just keep doing this every game. So I think I always skipped them, but I think I skipped some good ones. Yeah. I'm not sure I played Gold and Silver.
Yeah, Gold and Silver's fantastic. It was the first time they did night and day, so you could catch different Pokemon at different times.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I remember. I think I tried to emulate a bit of it.
Yeah.
And, had a bit of a go on that one. Yeah,
I would definitely recommend Heart
It's
Gold,
weird.
Soul
It's
Silver.
like it's kind of. at the time it was just so exciting because it was such a new idea, and
Yeah.
it was I don't know, I think they're still enjoyable, because I also think that what people forget is that the whole like catching them all thing is a thing you can do, but really the joy of Pokemon is not catching them all, not having your level 100 thing that beats the things and makes you the best in the world. It's the kind of journey you take along the way in terms of the choices you make, in terms of what you choose to like keep and what you choose to be attached to.
Like your 6 Pokemon team, like I think people who don't play Pokemon as much don't realise that it's not about just like getting loads of Pokemon and making them all good.
No.
It's choosing the 6 you want
Yeah.
and going, here's how my strategy works. Like if you really RPG it, you can make a team that will beat everyone, and you will go into a fight and immediately analyse someone else's team and go, fuck you, I've got you on this.
Yes.
Like,
But that's not how you tend to play it, and that's what I liked about it, is you can treat it like that. It can be very much like developing counters and treating it like a strategy RPG. But what tends to happen is you do a bit of that. You're like, this is my fire guy, he messes up these people. This is my plant guy, messes up these people. This is my ghost guy, messes up these people. And this is my bird. I like it because it's really cute.
that's a really good point.
And
yeah.
you end up like basically having, especially if you're playing it and you're not like reading up online about like stats on what's powerful and what's not, you end up like spending ages time leveling up something that isn't actually that good, but you caught it ages ago. You gave it a name and then it evolved and it looks cool, and you just have this sort of attachment. And when you end up then putting that in the box because you've got something else that's better that you want to put in, it's like, I'm sad, but I've had a great time.
I can't believe it's like actually literally called putting one of them in the box as
Yeah.
well. Like it's so horrible. Just
Yeah.
like pack him away, put him in the special digital attic, never
Digital
see him
box,
again.
Never see them. Well, you will, but then you'll scroll past them and feel faintly guilty.
You'll see their
that you've
tiny
left them.
crappy icon of them flapping.
Yeah, but it's the thrill of that. It's like being told, it's still a pretty ideal situation for a kid, but it's like being told by your mum and dad you're only allowed 6 pets, and you're like, oh, what? But what do I want, the dragon or do I want the cool iguana? And it's this lovely thing of whenever you discover something new, especially because often you'll walk through some grass and you'll be like, what's that? And you try and catch it and you'll fail, and then you'll be walking through the same grass and being like, where is it? Fuck! And it might have been a rare thing, and you might have to then spend like an hour or something being like, come back. And then if it does and you get it, it feels genuinely quite magical. And yeah,
We were asked to do this without the nostalgia factor, which we have slipped into. a bit.
no, sure.
I would say they are easy games.
Yes.
Like that much is just, you have to accept that. Like if you want, if what you want is an RPG that will challenge you, it's not going to happen. You're going to be really good at it because you are an adult. If you're not, that would be a problem. That I'm not sure is the point. I think being good at a Pokemon game only matters if you're the kind of person who wants to do like EV levels and all that nutcase stuff.
Yes.
Which I couldn't care less about.
No, it's fascinating that it exists, but it's best to not know about it in a way.
And actually, I think it's wonderful that it exists in a like the idea that there is this hidden world underneath everything. This weird like numbers town that just lives under everything you do.
Yeah.
But for me, the principal joy of a Pokemon game, and I must say I haven't enjoyed one properly for a long time.
Yeah.
But the principal joy has always been sort of easing my way through and just liking the experience of being.
I enjoy dipping back in again and finding that I like the same things of it again, but then I just end up like not having, because I don't have the time or the focus. I find I end up like drifting off after a while. Because I've been through the journey and I know how it ends. Like, and it gets to the point where I'm like nearing the finale and I'm like, okay, this is just the point now where I knuckle down and level everything up and then win.
I tell you what, my favourite thing in X and Y, which I played for a short amount of time, was I remembered how weird the interludes in Pokemon games could be, because the story sucks always, like that's just a given. But there was one bit where you walk into like just a random house in this big city, and you go in and you walk from the lift, and as you walk down, the game stops and you can't move, and you just go, "What's this?" And like from my memory. And this was like 2 years ago, but I've already maybe coloured this in my brain. A girl walks through a wall and just says like...
Yeah, he talks about this, yeah.
Yeah, have I mentioned this before?
I think you might have done, but do it again.
A girl walks through a wall and it's just like, says something really creepy like, they've forgotten me. And then just walks out again. And then it just cuts out. There's no answer for that in the game. It's just, there is a ghost. And you have to deal with the fact that you've seen one ghost of a woman in this game. And that's it. And you're like, whose job was this?
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
There's a lot of weird stuff, and also I like the fact that it's especially in the more modern ones, there's just tons of stuff you can do. It's like, yeah, you can be focused on like trying to level up your Pokemon and make them strong and fight battles, but then there's like a beauty contest, like a talent contest, where you can make you go for the prize for the most beautiful Pokemon, and then you can do there's like Poké Puff things where you're feeding them cakes. It led to
that's very
feeding
strange,
Chris Pratt cakes a long time ago. It's a great time, but yeah, there's just so much to do. But I think, it's a really difficult question to answer, but I think they do still hold up, but they are simple. But I think the factor you have to bear in mind is it's not really about nostalgia, because obviously when you're playing the new ones, you're playing with new Pokemon anyway. It's more like, how happy are you to play a game where a lot of the factor of your enjoyment is not success and strategy, and is more discovery and attachment, and is actually just being like, how are you willing to just actually just go, oh my god, this dragon is so cool, I love this dragon, and spend ages making it like good and cool so it can win a coolness competition in a pageant or something, and then get a cool badge and all this stuff. It's very childlike, so I'm not sure it's a whole 100% nostalgic, but there's something in it which is very much like that kind of part of you of like, when you were a kid, did you want to have a pet that was a dragon? And if the answer is yes, you'll find some enjoyment in Pokemon. In a way, at 33, I hope you don't feel like that, Joe. That's my answer. Wow. I think it's they're kind of a phenomenon. Actually, they haven't really been done well since. I don't think actually there have been anyone who's taken that format and done a bang up job of beating it, which is bizarre. I agree. Ni no Kuni had an element of it, but I think Ni no Kuni, despite the fact that in many ways I love it, I think mechanically it was a very weak game, and I think that aspect of it, the kind of collecting dudes, was just really bad. I've heard Dragon Quest Monsters is good. Yeah, Dragon Quest Monsters is, we were talking about this not long ago, but they're still making new ones of those. Yeah, that's the thing. I think they kind of disappeared, because we talked about that on Daft Souls not long ago, and I was like, in fact, that might have been when I was there. And I just been reminded by thinking about what you said about. Yeah, and that was lovely actually, because I was really unsure of my own memories, but a lot of people listening to the podcast came and said, no, actually I remember them as well, and they were great. And like there were elements of them that were clearly really, really piss weak, but some of it was awesome, and I was like, it was nice to have my memories reinforced with the fact that no, I was right about that. The dungeons and the battles were rubbish, but the breeding system and was just really exciting, really cool. Eggs, mate, eggs. Anyway, Joe, if you do end up playing some of that, then do let us know how you get on. Yeah, obviously, for every episode of Daft Souls, you can talk about it afterwards on coolghost.net. We post up the podcast on there, and you can come and post some comments, post your thoughts on what we're talking about. So yeah, Joe, if you do check out Pokemon, then pop up in the comments for a later Daft Souls and let us know how you got on, and I'll have a read of it. Okay, I will. That's Joe. That's an impression of Joe. Joe pretending to be Joe. Exactly. Damn confusing. Thank you very much for listening, guys. And thank you very much for being here, Joe. Obviously, that's slightly more important than listening, but there's not a lot in it, is there? No, it's absolutely not more important. They're here for you, Matthew. That's not true. They're here for the pipings of some sort of posh idiot. Well, I do. I know. And my opinion matters more than theirs. God. Well, this has ended on a sour note. And now I'm swooshing around my cape while standing on the battlements, and there's lightning in the background. Oh, you'd be good in a house with battlements. Oh, man. Walking over the crenellations. You'd love them. I would. I really, really would. I went on the battlements of an actual castle once. Illegally. It was fantastic. Illegal castle? Durham Castle. All over it, me. Joe Scribble's illegal castles. Yeah. I'm making that show. It's coming to Challenge TV, probably. Yeah, I'll challenge myself. ITV3. I'd have to be drunk again. That's the only way I'd get on them. It was great. Oh man, you shouldn't climb things when you're drunk. That's awful idea. No railings, because you're not meant to be on them. I've done that before, and it's just an awful idea. It's how you realise that in an alternate universe you're dead. Yes. So many versions of me are dead. Yeah, so many. Let's just not go to those universes ever. Crap. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week, probably. Love you. Bye. Bye.